Alright, next thing we're going to do is we're going to make the lips a little bit more red. So I'm going to click on this layer. I am going to, how do I want to do this? I'm going to select around the lips. I'm going to feather the selection. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to paste it. So now we have a layer that's just the lips. And I am going to, I'm going to show you a color correction tool that I actually haven't used yet. I'm going to go into Adjustments, and did they move where this is? Oh, they moved it to the bottom just because it's a less used tool. That makes sense. I'm going to go into Replace Color, or actually, I'll use a tool that we have used already. I'm going to go into Color Balance and just make it more red. So I'm just making this whole thing more red. Highlights more red? We'll keep the highlights where they are. I don't want the highlights to necessarily be more red. So just before and after. You'll notice that it's also getting some of the skin because that was part of the layer. I'm just going to erase that out. There is a better way to do this, but there isn't a simpler way to do this. So I'm just going to keep this as simple as possible because simplicity is great. Alright, so I do have a very soft edge on this brush, so let's just see the before and after. Looks like the lipstick is going outside of the lips a little bit, but nothing too bad. I'm happy with that. If I had wanted, I could have set the active region to just around the lips, given a little bit of a feather, and just been more careful with all of that, but that's okay. One thing that's nice about doing it on another layer is if I feel I've gone too far, and in this case I would say I feel I've gone too far, I can always bring it back by lowering the opacity. So it's just a subtle change. Let me actually bring it back even a little bit further. Alright, I'm going to change the eye color as well. So I'm going to go back to this layer. I'm going to go to my marquee tool, go to circular marquee, and just kind of select around the eye right here. I'm just going to move this, and it looks like that's almost the eye. It's pretty close. I'm going to transform the selection. If you right-click and say Transform Selection, you're transforming what's the active region, not what's moving, but just where the active region is. Press OK. That looks pretty good to me. And then just do it again. If you hit Alt, that will be the center point of the selection. Oops. Actually, there's actually a couple of confusing shortcuts. I needed to hit Shift to add it to the selection, and then let go of Shift and hit Alt so it's from the center point. I wouldn't worry about that right now. Alright, so I'm just going to go to the lasso tool and get rid of the part of this that isn't the iris, the pupil, you know what I meant. And feather this by a couple of pixels, so just let's just do it by 2 pixels, and copy it, paste it, and just go into Image Adjustments, and let's actually just go to Hue Saturation, and I'm not seeing anything. Why am I not seeing anything? I am not seeing anything because this is currently, I was just copying from the layer before I had changed the eyes. So I just copied from the small eyes. So right now I have 2 sets of eyes, and I don't want that. So I'm going to go back a couple of steps. There we go. I'm going to go to this layer, copy it out from this layer, copy, paste, and now I'm going to adjust it. So I'm going to go, so again, what had happened is I copied and pasted from the wrong layer. Whenever you have a problem, the first place to look is, am I on the right layer? Because layers will mess you up. Alright, so I'm going to go into Hue Saturation and just kind of play around with this. Green eyes. I'm going to give her slightly blue eyes. There we go. Maybe not quite that alien. A little bit darker. So, yeah, that looks pretty good. I noticed that's spilling up here a little bit. Just going to use the eraser to get rid of that. There we go. Just kind of erased out that layer, and it looks like it's doing the same thing up here. So this layer alone, very simple, but gets the job done. And again, I think that's a little bit far with those eyes, so I'm going to bring down the opacity on that layer. And it's just a slight hazel now, going from not a hazel to a slight hazel. All right. Last thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to select all of these, and I'm going to combine them into a single layer. So I might actually want to duplicate them first, just so I have them backed up down here. And then, with these selected, go into Merge Layers, and you have it all as a single layer. All right, you'll notice that we have more layers in this document than I think we've had in any other document up to this point. It just keeps duplicating the layers, just so we have a backup. We can always go a step backwards. If I wanted to keep this organized, I could select all of these. I could create a new folder and just say, title it like Old Pics, and just click and drag this into the folder, get rid of it. You know, I can do that. I can keep it organized, what have you. So I am going to now duplicate this layer and blur it. So I'm going to go into Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur, and just blur it slightly so all the places with skin are smoothed out. All right. And then I am going to, all right, so just ever so slightly, maybe like one or so. And then I'm going to go in with my eraser and just same technique that we used before, erase out the parts that I want to bring the detail back into. So the eyes, the bottom of the nose, the lips, the chin. Like, fact is, there's a lot of places we want to bring the detail back into. All of the hair, of course. You know, we don't want to lose any detail in that. It ends up being just small patches of skin here and there that get blurred slightly. But this way we just have total control over what's being blurred and what isn't. And it just kind of hides all those little skin problems. The one last step that we're going to do is we are going to do a little bit of color adjustment just to bring out the contrast between the features and the rest of the face. So I am going to use levels. Just going to put a levels adjustment layer on this. There's not enough room. Sure there isn't. Let's double click this. To display the panel, try what close other panels. Oh, CS5. You're funny. There we go. Alright, and we're just going to increase the contrast. Not quite so much. Just increase the contrast and just kind of change it a little bit, and you can see even that affects how the face looks. So are we done? We're done for now. And to show you the before and after, this is what we ended with, this is what we started with. So without the color correction, went from this to this. And believe me, we could have kept going. This was taken from an image that someone else had really gone to town and done a full-out facial reconstruction on, and they went all the way to here. We're not going to be approaching this point. Here, one sec. We're not going to be getting to that point in this tutorial, but just be aware that you can go much further than what I did. And this is just the start to what's possible. He added makeup up here. He did more with the skin. He actually pushed the nose a little bit further. He got rid of the lines down here. I could actually do that if I wanted. Got rid of this little dimple right there. And really pushed the colors much further than I did. You know, even just crunching the colors down would make a big change in that direction. But again, I'm not going to play with this anymore. I'm going to leave it be and start up the next tutorial. All right, thank you very much.